Hello! In this video, I'm going to be talking about the metric system, and we're going to be working on doing metric conversions the non-math way. First of all, before we get into it, the metric system is based off of units of 10, and it's a lot simpler. And we have various different prefixes that change our number, and all they do is they change where the decimal goes. So if we have a decimeter, for example, that represents 10 meters. If we have hectometer, that represents 100. If we have kilometer, that's 1,000. And then it gets a little more trickier when you go up to mega, giga. It moves the decimal over by 3. And we'll talk about that very shortly. The ones there's tons of different prefixes, although the numbers get ridiculously large and ridiculously small. We're not even going to worry about femto and smaller, and we're not going to worry about peta and larger. We're just going to focus on pico, nano, micro, milli, centi, deci, base unit. Write that in, which would be like meter, grams, moles, seconds, or Kelvin, which are the 5 metric base units that we deal with in chemistry. There's some others that you'll deal with in physics if you take physics, and there's also derived units like liters, and you'll become more familiar with those as the course goes on. Then we got deca, hecto, kilo, mega, giga, tera. Those are the main ones, and the central ones that you really need to know, and that's essential just for regular life, especially if you work on cars and you have like a Toyota. You're going to need to know the metric system. That's milli, centi, deci, base unit, deca, hecto, kilo. Those are the core ones. Alright, let's go into this a little further. You're going to have to know those prefixes and their order in their the big ones, which one's smaller, and the best way to do that is to put it into an acronym. The one that works really well for me is "The great mighty King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, making Nancy pout." Or, this is one that I've heard, but it doesn't really work for me, but maybe it works for you. "To go might kill her donkey, but Deci can make millions not puke." Doesn't really make much sense to me, but there's another acronym. Or you can make your own acronym that makes sense to you. Alright, so what does this stand for? The stands for tera. So I'm going to put tera right there. G stands for giga. M stands for, or mighty stands for mega, and that's capital M, which is important, which you'll soon see. And then we've got king is kilo. Henry is hecto. Died is deca. And then by is base units. Drinking, deci. Chocolate, centi. And then you've got milk is milli. Making is micro. Nancy is nano. And pout is pico. Very small. Alright, that pretty much fits. Alright, let's start over at the center because it's a little easier to start at the base unit. Let's say we're talking about meters. We have base units. That's equivalent to 10 to the 0, which is also 1. 1 base unit, or 1 meter. What does deca represent? Well, deca represents 10 base units, or 10 to the 1. Hecto represents 100 base units, or 100 meters, also known as 10 to the second. Taking a step back, let's write these abbreviations down. They're going to be very important. Deca is abbreviated by capital D. Hecto is abbreviated by lowercase h. And kilo is abbreviated by K, lowercase k usually. And it represents 1,000 base units, or 10 to the third meters, if our base unit is meters in this example. But then we have like 1, 2, 3 steps. When we get beyond our core 3 and then these 3, we got to go and jump 3 steps. So from kilo to mega, 1, 2, 3, it goes by 3 steps, which means it's 10 to the 6. 3 steps. And mega is represented by, or abbreviated by, capital M. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 10 to the 9th base units would be equivalent to 1 giga. And this really, you got to think of kind of computer bytes. Usually makes more sense, like megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes. We got capital G. And then we got 10 to the 12th bytes are in 1 terabyte, an extreme, very large amount. And to be exact, got 1,000 bytes in a kilobyte, 1,000,000 bytes in a megabyte, 1,000,000,000 bytes in a gigabyte, and 1,000,000,000,000 bytes in a terabyte. Alright, let's go back the other direction now. Go into Deci, it's in the core 6. What this is saying is it's 10 to the negative 1, or 0.1 base units. And it's represented by lowercase d, different than deca, which is uppercase d. Then we got centi, 10 to the negative 2nd. And it's represented by lowercase c. And then milli is 10 to the negative 3rd, represented by lowercase m, very important because mega is represented by uppercase m. Two very similar things, but totally different. Then we got micro, again we jump 1, 2, 3, so this is 10 to the negative 6. So when we get beyond the core 6, from kilo to mega and from milli to micro, it's a difference of 3. In micro, this is a Greek symbol, the mu symbol. It's kind of like a U with little frillies at the end. Micro. So I'm just going to write that really big right here. Micro. And then we move 3 steps more, and that's 10 to the negative 9, which is nano, lowercase n, and then pico is 10 to the negative 12, lowercase p. Alright, now that we have those down, what we're going to do is work on some metric conversions. Alright, this is very important. Let me read it. It says, remember that when converting between metric units, always use a conversion fraction where the biggest prefix represents 1. This way you will never be confused by negative exponents. So always the bigger prefix gets 1 when you do your conversion factor. That's if you do it the math way. We're going to come back to that in a different video, because this video is the non-math way. Alright, coming back. Let's say we've got, or we have, 6.0 kilometers. And we want to convert this to decimeters. Alright, so 6 kilometers to decimeters. What we do the non-math way is we go to kilo and we move it 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and we're moving it to the right. So we're taking our 6.0, moving that decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and that gives me 60,000 decimeters is equivalent to 6 kilometers. Let's do another example. Let's convert it to, let's say we've got 1.2 millimeters, and we want to convert this to centimeters. Alright, so milli to centi, that's moving left 1 step. So really I have 0.12 centimeters is equivalent to 1.2 millimeters. Doing one more example, why don't we do a hard one? Or a harder one. Alright, 2.3 megagrams and let's convert that to hectograms. So I'm going to write 2.3, and I want to move it mega 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. And we're moving our decimal to the right because that's where we moved on the acronym. And that's going to give us 23,000 hectograms is equivalent to 2.3 megagrams. All right, so on the test or any assessment, are you going to have this nice little sheet out in front of you? The answer is no. So let's get rid of that. And let's try another one. Let's say we've got 2.3. I don't know, why don't we be in this time, well, I guess just stick with meters, keep it simple. 2.3 meters, and we want to convert this guy to millimeters. Alright, how do we do that when we don't have that acronym in front of us? Well, we memorize it. So that acronym is the Great Mighty King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk making Nancy pout. Just wrote it out there. And we're at meters, which is represented by base unit. And we want to get to millimeters, which is deci, centi, milli. 1, 2, 3 steps to the right we're moving. So I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3 steps to the right, which gives me 2,300 millimeters is equivalent to 2.3 meters. And that is how you convert between various metric prefixes without using math.